We're initiating a forensic mapping of a really critical psychic period. Our subject is known only as the dreamer, and we're looking at the cycle of April 2025. What we're focusing on is this singular, powerful event, a transit, a shift from a life of inherited responsibility to one of chosen sovereign authority. So let's begin the analysis. All right, the vault for the April 2025 Chronicle is now unsealed. And what the data logs are showing us is a psychic landscape where the old machinery of the past is literally being dismantled, to make way for the architecture of a sovereign future. Our analysis begins right now. Every transit like this starts with an opposing force. Before we can even track the dreamer's ascent, we first have to measure the atmospheric pressure they were operating under. We call this the old gravity. It's that systemic friction of the world they were trying so hard to leave behind.
So this initial field report, it paints a pretty powerful picture. We see 5 key indicators that are defining the dreamer's public identity. Now, these aren't just life circumstances. Think of them as residual echoes, anchors that are holding the subject in a previous timeline. Employment, relationships, finances, every single one a source of systemic drag, pulling the dreamer right back into a reality they were desperately trying to escape.
And this right here, this slide illustrates the core conflict perfectly. Old gravity isn't some kind of villain, it's an observable phenomenon. It's the accumulated weight of all those past roles and responsibilities that actively resists any movement toward a new state of being. This was the primary force the dreamer was pushing up against.
The psychic terrain itself confirms this pressure. In the dreamscape, the dreamer was constantly seen navigating these really complex, multi-level warehouses. And these aren't just random dreams. They're metaphors for a mind that's auditing its own cluttered history, sorting through all the boxes of past identities and unresolved contracts.
Okay, so now let's move on to the physical and energetic evidence. We're going to audit the subject's internal system, and we're logging every single sign of release and resistance as that old gravity was being challenged. This is where we track both the purges and the short circuits.
This somatic audit log is absolutely fascinating because it maps both the progress and the stalls. If you look over at that vector column, you see clear progression in areas like physical health, resting heart rate. That's great. But then we hit a critical short circuit. Notice the stall vector right next to restricted breathing. This points to a 15-year somatic blockage, the architecture of a silenced voice. So the system was purging old patterns, but these legacy blueprints were causing some serious stalls.
So what this internal audit shows us are several key pivot points, these threshold markers where the dreamer faced a choice. Was it going to be forward momentum into a new reality, or stagnation in the waiting rooms of the ego?
This slide lays out the 2 types of thresholds they encountered. On the left, under portals, we see these moments of forward momentum. Clearing away debris revealed a hidden staircase, a clear path to new potential. But then you look to the right, under liminal traps, and all movement just ceased. A group interview became a trap where the ego's need for external validation, to be voted on, just halted all progress completely.
And this brings us to the central catalyst of this entire month's transit, the documented failure of the old methods, a failure which forced the introduction of a completely new, high-frequency operational logic. This is the innovation data.
The data log for the 16th of the month is crystal clear. The dreamer was seen struggling with these outdated, heavy tools, literally reversing a bus into mud, unable to stop, finding it hard to even read a simple job sheet. It symbolizes the complete and utter inefficiency of the old way of operating.
And the crucial turning point happened that very same day. A direct seismic transmission was received from an inner figure of practical wisdom. And as you can see, the message was simple, and it was absolute: you are using the wrong tool. This one transmission initiated a rapid system-wide upgrade.
And right after that revelation, we observed the immediate integration of new, high-frequency tools. Things like AI process optimization and digital habit tracking. And these weren't just small tweaks. These were innovation signals that created effortless expansion where just before there was only friction and struggle.
So let's move to our final analysis and see how this build of energy and insight all comes together. It is time to deliver the verdict on the dreamer's transit through the gates of April.
The final exit data. Well, it presents a complex picture. The question on the slide is really key. Did the dreamer pass through the gates, or are they still just standing at the ramp? What the audit shows is that while a critical threshold was definitely passed, another one was revealed but not yet crossed. The tools for a new reality were acquired, but they weren't yet fully deployed.
But here's the thing. Despite that incomplete exit, the audit confirms the Dreamer secured 3 absolutely critical assets during the transit. And you should think of these not as objects, but as a new form of currency, a new power source for the cycle ahead: the sovereign voice, pristine currency, and the new toolset.
Let's really examine that first treasure, because it is the most profound, the sovereign voice. This represents a fundamental shift in frequency. It's a system upgrade from being a petitioner, asking the universe for signs, to becoming a creator who is the sign. This is the very core of the sovereign milestone.
And that concludes our primary audit for April 2025. If this forensic mapping of the collective dreamscape resonates with your own transit, we invite you to log your own data. Leave a comment below with your most vivid anchor from this month.
To stay aligned with the upcoming cycles, it is time to engage system alignment protocols. Now, initiate the first protocol by activating the biometric thumbprint scan below. You will see it glow gold. Then, lock your data points into the collective grid line by engaging the subscription protocol.
We continue the audit in the next moon. Analysis complete.